So in the Abhidharma, these would be broken down into very discrete. So one of the features of the Abhidharma, which I alluded to today, is that in that model of consciousness flowing through time, and we talked about a perceptual moment, there will be a number of, there's what's called the main consciousness, which is the instance of awareness itself, and then it has a number of facets, which are called chaitasika. So there's chitta, the main consciousness, and then it has a number of facets called the chaitasika. Some of these facets are what we call kleshas in Sanskrit, which means sticky things, literally. It's kind of your negative states, affective and cognitive states that cause suffering. But some of them are just about the functioning of mind, and a number of them, one of them is cetana, which we can translate as intention, which is this orientation toward the object that's going to impulse action, cause an impulsion toward action. At least three of them have to do with attention, different ways of selecting objects, of deselecting other objects, of stabilizing the selection of an object, of being interested in an object. Now I'm up to 4. Of thinking that an object is relevant to yourself. Now I'm up to 5. So those would all be counted as features of attention. And what was the other one?
Intention.
Now, and then awareness, of course, is we did intention and attention, and then awareness itself is going to be probably this main consciousness, is one way of using it. So it would be simply an equivalent of consciousness. And this is a very, awareness is a very difficult term because we also usually mean it it connotes a moment of consciousness in which we have some kind of access, maybe reportability, possibly. So that's a very difficult term, but I think they're very easy to disambiguate in the Buddhist context. They don't really have overlap. They come together. In fact, according to the Buddhist theory, they always come together. You always have intention, attention. There are 5 functions that always occur with every moment, and intention and attention are a form of attention are 2 of them. And of course, the moment itself is awareness, the moment of consciousness. So, but I don't think there's any problem disambiguating them.
Can I just ask one clarification there? You talk about sometimes about the spy, which is also related to a form of awareness. Is that related to
the spy of mindfulness is a term in Mahamudra that is a way of talking about, a different way of talking about Shejin or Samprajanya, which is this monitoring function in meditation. And in the Sanskrit Abhidharma that the Tibetans inherit, there is actually no explicit discussion of that. So that's not, strictly speaking, Abhidharma. It's in the Pali Abhidharma.
Would that be a form of awareness? That's sort of a meta form
of
awareness?
No, it would not be. So in this view, by the way, as we progress, initially, I don't want to take too much time on this, but initially these facets of awareness or consciousness are understood to be almost like sort of mental atoms. Just as there are atoms that they had an atomic theory of matter, they also had a kind of atomic theory of the mind where these are discrete mental elements that occurred in various combinations. Later, the opinion develops that actually there's just consciousness itself is sort of a piece. But you can conceptually distinguish different facets of consciousness. But actually it's all just one piece. So it's something like saying that the color of light and light, you might say, you can talk about the red color of the light, but actually the redness and the light are the same thing. So that's the opinion, that's the way it develops in the end.
Yeah, I don't want to take up too much more time with this. I mean, I think the Abhidharma way of understanding these concepts is actually in some ways a lot clearer than what Western philosophers currently have to say. Is that the discussion of attention, awareness, and intention is actually kind of fraught with a lot of controversy right now. But I would say very generally that the usual sense of the words is that awareness is anything phenomenal, anything felt, lived through, whereas attention is some kind of selective function, and that can happen in different ways. It could happen because something grabs your attention externally. You're walking along, and something moves quickly in the periphery of your visual field, and you immediately look that way. Or it could happen through some kind of volition on your part. So there's a so-called kind of top-down. I don't like the word executive, but that's the word people use. Attention, where you deliberately attend to something. But the idea is basically of attention is that there's some kind of selection and hence enhancement of some features within a broad field of awareness. And then intention is very much the idea of a kind of directedness with an action tendency, which could be a mental action tendency or it could be a physical bodily one. But in that sense, it's very close to the Abhidharma. The idea that it's what literally moves you and moves the mind is intention or intentionality.
Toward objects.
Toward objects, yeah. Which could be mental objects. They
Right.
don't need to be physical objects.
Thank you. There was much mention